It's Friday, July 12th, 2024, and we're in the studio doing a session.
Yes, we are.
So then we would be running the intro right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we can cut this up however we want.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's good if we have a live because like you can watch some YouTubes out there and you can tell like when they chop it up because they're talking and they pause and then like the next scene they're like over here. So
Yeah.
we don't want to be that.
Yeah, we don't want to be that because we don't have to chop out a lot of stuff because what are we trying to have it be all super pretty? Who cares, right?
Well, like I said, these are the earlier episodes when we get to episode number 100 and we got a huge audience. People
Then
are
it'll
finding
be
out
good.
about us. They
Yeah.
start going backwards and then they get to like these really early episodes and the sound's wrong and
That's why I don't think we should. I personally don't think we should post these
Oh,
early ones. until
episode
we
one's already posted.
figure
It's
out
already
what's
getting
going
views.
on.
Oh, it's got like I don't even know if it has a view other than us.
No, I don't know. There's like 14 last I checked, and there's only 4 of us. So
Well, but I think it counts if you've seen it if you've hit it.
But we don't
multiple
want like these early things associated with us. We want that
Yeah, we do.
final polished product,
Which
we
we'll
want
get to,
That
but we don't start that.
I agree. We will
Yeah.
get to that, but
But-
it's like once we get there, that's when we want it associated with
right,
us.
right. But people are, and we'll get there, and people will associate with it because that's when we'll start getting more viewers. But eventually, they'll want to go back and see like the earlier episodes, see like, hey, where these people come from, and look and see how much
This is
they've
how
improved.
this is how garbage they once were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I don't
there's a-
think that we should share
I
that
think that's-
publicly, but you guys
No,
are
dude, I'm
outvote
totally on
me.
board.
So, and
Like,
well-
like Dave said, it's already posted. So.
The best people, the most like I think people that like I find the most fondest on YouTube are the people that are not perfect.
Yeah, we're far from perfect.
You know, don't you think or no?
Like,
Production value adds a lot.
it adds a lot, and it will
Well,
later on.
Yeah,
But, like, I don't know. There's podcasts I start listening to, and I find out about them. They've got, like, 50, 60, 70 episodes. And then once I kind of, stop listening to the newer stuff, I go backwards and start listening to the early stuff. And they all start off like this, where it's, they don't quite have the sound thing figured out. They don't quite have the flow figured out. They don't have the whatever, the software figured out. And it's fun to watch. And I think it'd be cool, once we start getting,
All right, cool. Leave them
Yeah.
there.
so...
nice. Yeah, so we are just a bunch of dudes.
Childhood friends.
Yep, childhood friends.
Childhood friends just doing a session.
And now we all of a sudden got old. Yeah, and
After overnight it just happened.
I know.
Yeah, we are middle age,
Middle age.
knee deep.
Knee deep in middle age.
We're past the halfway point.
Can I say
Over
the
the hill.
decade? The decade we're all in?
Yeah, go for
The
it.
40th?
40th decade.
We're in our
Yeah.
40s?
Yeah,
I mean, I was going to say, it's not like people aren't going to be able to guess, you know?
right?
It's like,
Those old farts on the talking
yeah.
on the microphone. And,
Yeah, especially if young people are listening at all.
yeah, Generation Z.
They're
welcome.
not.
No.
Don't worry.
It's so cringe for them. And to us, it's like so normal, you know? And I don't feel like we're that far off when we were kids. I mean, kind of we are.
I don't know. I think I identify with my like childhood self more than I identify with like my, I don't know. I still feel like in my 20s,
Yeah.
I definitely feel that way. Like you're as old as you feel to some degree. So I definitely try to like maintain a youthful spirit going through life because once you lose it, it just seems like you become a shittier human being and life just becomes less fun. Like if you keep that youthful optimism and sense of adventure, life's just better. So that's the path I choose.
Yeah. And I think we're all lucky that our bodies don't seem like they're old. I still wake up and I don't have aches and pains. Like some of my friends, they'll talk about how they wake up and oh, this aches and that aches. I'm like, oh, really? And like I'll sit there at work, and sometimes I get tired of sitting in the chair, and I'll take my laptop and put it on the floor and lay on the floor and work. And people give me these weird looks like, well, you can do that? I'm like, yeah. Why you can't? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm fortunate in that my body still acts like it's somewhat youthful. But yeah, I don't know. Hold on to that as long as I can.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I was telling a buddy of mine, I was looking at this old picture from like 15 years ago, and it's like, oh my God, dude, yeah, I can't believe that was 15 years ago. But it's like we're going to look back at stuff now, 15 years from now, if we make it there.
Yeah, I think we look so young.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, yeah, we're young now. We're young now.
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Under the right lens,
Yeah.
we are still young.
Well, it's funny because on my 30th birthday, I remember going, just regular day, worked, and then I think I went and saw the Twins game with my dad that day. And I remember thinking, man, 30, wow. It seemed so like old at the time, but now in your 40s, looking back at 30, it seems so young.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen in 15 years. We're going to
Yeah.
look back and look at our 40s and be like, man, that's
It's money being the age we are now, because it's just we're just going to be older from here on out. So
we're going to be older at the end of this session.
it's as sweet as it's going to be right here. I mean, but again, then it's like being a few more years older isn't horrible either, really. But
No, I mean,
I told this to Tom before, Dave, but there's this judge I used to work with, who I respect a lot, very smart man, and he was asked at a Toastmaster meeting for his impromptu question was like, what age do you feel like was the peak of life? And he's in his like late 60s now.
Yeah.
And I fully thought that he would answer, like high school or 20s, but he didn't. He said
18, 21, 25.
He thought the peak age in life was 40.
Yeah.
Because he thought that was just like a great balance between you still have your physical functions, but you're also just have a heightened wisdom in life. Like you've traveled a long path in life and you've gained wisdom, and you're still mentally very smart. You have good like awareness.
Exactly.
So I just thought that was like a very interesting answer, and that's why I remembered it all this time. Was he didn't say his 20s. He said 40.
Yeah, and I think I'd kind of, well, no, I think I would agree with that if I stop and look at like I'd just say, probably recently 2019 was probably the best year of my life.
Oh.
If I stop and think about it, and that was definitely far cry from my 20s. So
Nice.
yeah.
Why was that the best year?
So when I started living kind of more my dreams, and I don't want to get into what they are right now, but maybe someday. But you kind of know what I'm doing with my life now these days.
Cool.
And made a lifelong dream become a reality in 2019, and yeah, I mean
Awesome.
it was just it was great.
That's good. That kind of stuff takes time, so you got to be older for that.
Yep.
So there's a point there.
So.
Yeah, if it were just a matter of functionality and like what you can do physically, obviously
Yeah.
your teens and 20s would be the best, but you're so fucking dumb. You're so stupid, and you're so like you lack awareness, and you're so self-centered that
But yeah, you got
it's
to
like you have to live life.
You don't know how to
and
make the
get
most
some-
of it.
Get some wisdom before you. Anyway,
not only that, but like in my teens and 20s, a lot of that was spent. Like a lot of those hours of my life didn't really belong to me. They belonged to high school. They belonged to me working, save up money for a car, save up money for college, and then when I got to college, a lot of hours were spent in college, spent working some more, spent doing homework. So, I think if I had to pick something that I missed the most about those years would be, like, probably the optimism I had about the future.
what do you mean by that?
Like, knowing about, like, yeah, it's gonna be. It's I'm working hard now, and I don't have a lot of time for myself, but I know at the end it's gonna pay off, and it did pay off.
Oh, okay. I was
But,
gonna
you
say
know,
until
yeah.
you realize like it's like life's like crappier than what we maybe thought it was gonna be, or
No, I don't think life's crappy.
Oh,
than what
that's
I thought
good,
it was
alright.
gonna be, but I like
I do.
the whole journey,
Yeah.
the whole journey of like, I guess I kind of missed the journey of knowing like, yep, I'm on this journey, and I know there's end goals at the end, and there's better things. So that's probably my most favorite part about my 20s is the journey I was on.
Well, there's a guy that I work with who's 82, and he kind of reminds me a lot that it's like, what you're saying, Dave, is like, it makes me think to you like, dude, that means just start another one because it's not too late,
Right?
Because like he would say that to me, he's like, oh, you're only 40. He's like, think of all the time you have to be able to
He's
invest.
still working at 82.
Yeah. So it's part time. Part time. He just does it because
Cool.
I mean, the
Keep him
dude's
busy.
sharp as a tack,
Cool.
and he's very
gets
physical.
enjoyment
I
out
would
of it.
dream to be able to do what he does at that age.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He's
He's
lived a
awesome.
good life. Cool.
Yeah, so I want to get him on the show
pay
too.
attention to.
I want to get him on the show
Yeah.
sometime too. I think
Yeah,
that'd
we'll
be
start
cool.
having guests.
Yeah, let's have him on next
Yeah,
time.
yeah, next yeah.
Or sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's he tells me that, and it's like, yeah, you're totally right. Because we'll look back 10 years from now and be like, boy, why didn't I start that thing then? And now, yeah, at this point, I'd have that.
No,
Right.
Well, I'm thinking about what should the next journey be?
Mm-hmm.
And
5 or 10 year intervals is like a good length to be thinking about it, and that's so difficult when you're young. I feel, or
Well, yeah.
like for me, it was very difficult. But now, it's like, okay, I understand what a 5-year increment and a 10-year increment is going to be. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I have more awareness
It seemed
that.
kind of at the time like, oh, so long. Oh, I don't want to spend this many years doing that. It's my whole life is over. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, there's
like it's so
There's
hard
time.
to imagine. Like even when college, like, oh man, 4 years of this,
yeah.
and now it's like 4 years flies by without even thinking about it.
Mhm. Yeah. Good deal. Well, how's the agenda? What do we got, Brian?
The first topic was the
No,
big.
now we're on the second topic. First topic is what we just talked about.
The second topic was the big boy press conference from last night. This is a recent event for folks.
Now, what are we
So-
referring to? 'Cause
Okay, so you didn't watch it?
I have been so busy
Okay.
with all
So
sorts of other things.
I can
Oh,
explain.
okay.
I can explain it a little bit, and then Brian fill in because I'm not good at these details here. So Biden, and this was the press secretary. Is that woman, Jean Pierre? Is that
Yes.
her name? Okay. She said like, oh, Biden's gonna be, and I only caught a blip of it, but is gonna have his big boy conference. And this isn't coming from the right, ripping the left about the calling it his big boy press conference.
It might have come from the right. It might have started from it, but
don't
at
think
least
so.
they tricked the people from the left to say those words into a microphone.
Well, they
because
certainly didn't make it seem like it.
They definitely said that it was going to be a big boy press conference. And what does big boy press conference mean, Dave? It means where the president talks and actually fields questions from reporters.
Interesting.
That
Okay.
never
Well,
used to be called a big
no,
boy press
no.
conference. That just used to be called a press conference.
Yes, I looked it up
Right.
because I was like, okay, wait a minute. Before I rip this really bad, I want to find out is this the thing that they do every year and they call it this? No, I mean at least I didn't see anything on it. There's nothing on the Googles, about it.
Oh no, the
I figured
president
Trump maybe came up with
used to
that.
have to get in front of a microphone every month and talk to the press.
I
It
bet if
just, since Trump and Biden, that's been taken away, and they don't do that anymore.
Oh yeah.
Trump would kind of do it. He would do it like from a fence with the helicopter in the background, and he would make it seem like, I gotta go, I got a meeting, I gotta get on the helicopter. So he would like answer the questions very short, but he would technically like field questions from reporters, whereas Biden has not done that whatsoever. He's done it maybe 2 times since he's been president.
So I think the
He
point
just
of
has
this,
record low engagement with press.
So this press conference, they were trying to make it seem like that he was just gonna be standing up there on his own, and then people were gonna be able to pepper him with questions. But like right away, he says, "Oh, I got this list of people I need to call on here."
Yeah.
And
So the whole thing was fake.
Yeah.
Well,
Or
it
staged.
it wasn't fake.
It was
but
staged.
You could probably use that word. Yeah, he had a list of who was going to ask him questions.
And he wasn't supposed to say that part?
So,
Like, he said the quiet part out loud?
No, he probably was okay to say that.
Oh, okay.
But it's also fair to assume if he had a list of who was going to be asking him questions, he probably also had a list of the questions as
Probably
well.
not a far cry from that, yeah.
Because his responses were very indicative of like being prepared.
Yep.
Like you did not just think this answer off the cuff.
Really?
And to be honest, most of his answers were okay. Like he definitely did way better than he did during the debate.
Well,
Okay.
again, because it was like, he was prepared. He was basically repeating stuff, and even with that, he was having trouble. I mean, he was having trouble speaking. He the best gaffe of it was when he called Kamala Harris President or Vice President Trump, and then he kept on, and then he kept on going. He didn't even stop himself and was like, "Oh, I mean Vice President Harris." No, he said Vice President Trump and just moved on. And then it wasn't until the very, very end when they then made it seem like, okay, it's all over, and now we're gonna the president's gonna leave, and then he's walking off, and then they say, now Trump right now is probably on his social media making fun of you right now about calling Vice President Harris Vice President Trump. How do you respond to that when basically the whole time he was trying to defend himself that he's like capable of still being a president, and he's and all he goes, what did he say? He said, he goes, listen to him. He goes, Biden's response goes, listen to him.
What?
Just to correct you, just to clarify,
Yeah.
like when you say he called Harris Trump,
Yeah.
the biggest gaffe I remember from yesterday wasn't from the press conference. It was there's a NATO summit going on, and
Oh yeah, I'm talking that just at the press conference. But
when
yeah.
he introed the NATO summit is when he introduced the Ukrainian president Zelensky.
Yeah.
As he talks him up all big, right, and then says, "And President of Ukraine, President Putin."
What?
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, and
he totally said
Zelensky's
that
Right on the
And
air like that?
Yeah, and then he
Wow.
caught himself and tried to save it by saying like, "Oh, I'm just so focused on beating Putin. I misspoke."
Like-
but
Like, maybe that was the case, but with like everything else he has going on, how is it going to be believable to some people? Like,
yeah,
wow.
that was the worst like possible gaffe. And I agree with you. It's just like you're just mixing up names. It's just like this was not the time to
Right.
do that mix up.
Right.
Zelensky laughs and he's like, "No, that's not me." That was kind of funny. But then at least
He said, "I'm way better."
he did at least
I'm way
like,
better than Putin, and Biden was like, "Yeah, you are."
well, he said something like, "Oh, we're gonna go get Putin" or something, or he said something like that to like correct himself.
Yeah,
But in the press conference, when he said it's like he didn't even correct himself. He acted like he didn't even phase it. And he's like, he thought he said Harris because then he referred to the vice president as she. It's like, yeah. No, we can make those mistakes, but yeah, when there's a million of them, it's like, come on.
Yeah, then it's just like, okay, now there's a pattern.
Yeah.
So this is the question I want to ask you guys about this is...
I want to ask you a question first.
Okay.
Why is your phone counting down or counting up? Or
Oh, I
what's
just
going
have
on
a timer for like how long we're talking about this topic.
there? Oh,
I just
Nice.
want to keep track if
I
it's
gotcha.
like too long or something.
no.
Good work, Burns.
So the question was, if you're to bite into the apple of, the presidency really matters, okay? Which I personally, the older I get, the more I think it doesn't matter whatsoever. What really matters is like the actions you do in your own house and in your own life. That matters more than anything that's done in the White House. That's just my personal belief. But if you're really going to bite into this apple of like, no, the White House matters and this is the most important election ever, you're always going to hear that every single
Every election they say that.
This is the most important. Okay. If you're really going to bite into that apple this time, how can you possibly say that on one hand, Donald Trump is a danger to the freedom of America, a danger to women's rights, etc. You know, just list the issues. But the point is, how can you say Donald Trump is a danger, and on the other hand, appoint this guy to run against him? Like, you can't do that. You're talking out of both sides of your, I don't know the
Mouth.
phrase, but
Both sides of your mouth.
But just
Yeah,
look at the results, man. He's done the job. He's done the job.
you can't possibly
He's
say
got the most
that
experience.
Donald Trump is a danger and then appoint this skeleton to run against him. Like, if you really thought Donald Trump was a danger, we'd be seeing the best and brightest running against him right now. And we're clearly not seeing that.
Have we ever seen that, though?
Yeah,
I mean,
Obama was the best and brightest. But you don't have to comment on that. But my point is Biden is clearly not the best and brightest. And that's the only reason why I say that. So why I bring that up is because anytime you hear that going forward, because it's going to be pumped constantly, this is the most important election ever. Like, no, it's not. Because if it was, it wouldn't be between these two jokes.
No, you're right. They say that every election. This is the most important election ever. It's our last election to save fill in the blank, and
Save our democracy.
save our democracy, whatever.
Which is, again, trying to brainwash people to think that we're a democracy.
Yeah, we're not. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just politicians, and a friend of mine once told me, it's like, people wear their politics kind of like their favorite sports team. They just want them to win. They don't care how they win. And, they want to be on the winning team, and therefore they're going to point at the other team and just, oh, that team sucks, or whatever, just because they're rooting for their own team.
I don't remember it being like that, though. I remember people never knew what other people thought.
Yeah, but I mean, some of that.
What do you
might have
mean
been,
by that?
Back when we were kids.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
when we were kids, though, some of that might have just been us being
No,
kids.
but even as teenage, I mean, you didn't know. It wasn't as common now where people are so they identify with that. That's them.
Oh, that's like part of their persona.
Yeah, and then they need to share that with everybody. And everybody needs to know that. Like, they introduce themselves to somebody, and they need to know. Not that extreme, but yeah, it's common now. Where before it was something that you didn't talk about.
Yeah.
It wasn't appropriate to talk about it, and people had the respect to not talk about it. That was just normal society.
Yeah. Okay, I do vaguely remember that. Like in the 80s,
Mhm.
growing up, it was just
80s,
Because I remember
not talked about.
because my parents wouldn't really talk to me about what they thought because they didn't want me talking to other people too about it. Because it just wasn't appropriate.
That was in. Never mind.
That was in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that was different, man. This
Two
is
best decades ever.
But I'm saying, yeah, I mean, was society worse back then? I mean,
maybe.
I think we had a country back then. We had a culture back then.
Some
we had
things were definitely
standards.
worse, like music, hair
What?
hair metal.
Oh, dude, the 80s
Wait.
had some of the best music ever.
It had some of the worst music.
Before we go too off
80s.
topic, you think today's music is better than
Okay, you're right. You're right. You're right.
A lot of terrible stuff I hear
Okay,
these days.
Today's is rough.
And-
Just to bring it back to the topic, I
Yeah.
do acknowledge that in the 80s, it was definitely more of, you didn't talk, you would never question somebody about, who the fuck are you voting for?
Mhm, yeah.
Whereas now, it's very much like, I want to know where you stand.
And
if you stand where I don't, then I'm going to not like you.
Right.
when did
That's only gotten worse. as
when did
I've
the yard
gotten
signs
older.
start?
The
What's
yard
that?
signs?
When did
I
yard
don't know.
signs
That's
start?
probably been around for a long time.
If you think back, what's the oldest name that you can think of? I know that we can go back further, but I think at Wellstone
Lincoln?
there was definitely Wellstone political signs. Lincoln, yeah, yeah, there was.
Yeah, Wellstone. Okay.
Yeah, I know there was Wellstone signs.
I don't know if the yard sign is as a prominent thing as it used to be. Do you guys think it is?
Oh, dude,
They're everywhere.
yeah,
Oh,
when
okay.
especially coming up when you drive and on the roads.
Yeah,
oh,
watch on
it's
your
just
drive home.
blast,
Well, the
right?
oldest one I remember, probably Wellstone. I remember that big green square with the white letters, for sure. I remember that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I remember that. I don't know if that's the oldest one I remember, but I'm trying to think of.
I don't remember like Clinton.
Well,
ones.
what I remember, not
Bush.
just like yard signs, but I remember being a kid and being at parades and politicians handing out their own papers or like brochures about who they were. And I remember wanting to get one as a little kid just because hey, they're handing something out. I want one.
Yeah.
And I remember the politicians would just walk right past me, except for one. I think his name was. Oh, it's not important, but for the longest time, they actually gave me one when I was a kid, and I thought that guy was the coolest politician ever. So I remember it always being a thing.
Okay, why'd you ask that?
What asked what? The signs?
Yeah.
Oh, but just because again, I think it was like kind of around that time when people switched from being quiet about that to it being like a more team sport thing.
Oh, I see.
And I feel like that's kind of like the time when things got. Now I don't remember looking at all the past votes, but there used to be a lot more landslides, and now and since kind of technology, even just TV and stuff like that, like we've gotten to that 50-50 perfect split or 48-48 and 4% or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Perfectly controlled.
yeah, because it's like
Just to keep people fighting against
Well,
one another.
And it's not even like the 48-48-4. It's like 48 grand total. Like I think it's something like only 48% of the country actually votes. So there's a huge untapped thing out there.
well, we'll see what the record turnout
Those
is
people
this
aren't
year.
untapped. I feel like untapped's not the right word. They're more like disenfranchised. They understand that their vote is meaningless. That these are two puppets controlled by the same body. So it doesn't really matter which way they vote. And never
that goes
mind
back to what you said.
never-
at the beginning. What you do in your own house matters more than what's president. So you got a
100%.
whole bunch of people probably have that mentality. Maybe that's why it's such a low turnout.
when they have the electoral college too, that's just another layer to let you know that your vote really doesn't matter. It matters in the swing states, like the Michigan and Ohio's and Florida's. It matters there, but in California or New York, you're just wasting your fucking time when you go to vote because they're going a certain direction.
Yeah, and it's like really when it. Okay, I like to
The
get on.
electoral college is awful.
I like to get on the bandwagon.
But thank you for bringing that back up, Dave. Yes,
We
but
all know.
I
we
really
know I'm
feel
the
like
Trump train.
what matters, what you do in your own life, and your interactions with the people you encounter in life matter so much more than anything that happens in the White House. But if you turn on the TV and you make the mistake of watching any sort of mass news outlet, you start thinking like, oh,
So
man.
get all fired up.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to stuff on the TV and listen to stuff in the car, and I'd get to work and I'd just like, and
That
like,
stuff
why am I doing
literally-
this to myself?
It literally does not matter as much as the interactions you will have with the people you encounter in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I get to work and I'd be angry and I'd have a bad day at work and like, why am I? Then I do the same thing on the drive home, and then couple that with traffic, it's just like I get home and be all angry. I'm like, what is the point of all this?
Mm-hmm.
Turn some music back on, 80s music back on.
Nice. Good deal.
Tom, you wanted to say other things about the big boy press conference. I know you did.
Boy, what else did I want to talk about that? I mean, I said my biggest point with what he messed. I mean, you got to watch it to see it. I wish we had. I would like to be able to share all the funny memes that I saw about it afterwards.
Do you think
Yeah,
the
those are
Democrats
hilarious.
should replace Biden? And I know you aren't going to vote Democrat either way.
Well, yeah, okay,
do
real
you
quick on that,
think
real quick on that.
They should replace Biden with a different candidate?
All right, real quick. Just I'm going to answer that after this 15 seconds. So, okay, I'm on the Trump train. Love Trump, but in reality, if we all want to make some sort of a change, everybody needs to vote for somebody else other than the main two. And if we do that as a country, it's the only way to be able to break up their control, or an
monopoly.
attempt.
Yeah.
As far as that, what Osborne said, the question with that, I mean, I want Trump to win, so do I want them to change it?
So
no,
you
I mean,
want-
just
yeah,
keep
you
it,
want
make it
the
easy,
old-
make it easy. But at the same time,
Make it
at the same
easy,
time,
yeah.
okay, just like in sports, like when the Packers and Vikings are playing.
Yeah.
You maybe heard
I
me say
want
it before.
Justin Jefferson to play.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want all the squad on both teams playing each other.
Yeah.
I don't want a hurt quarterback in it. I mean, yeah, it's all great to get that
And right
easy
now,
W.
the Democrats got a hurt quarterback.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. He's playing with the torn ACL. He's playing with
post
it.
concussion
Yeah.
syndrome.
Yeah, he's severely concussed, but they're keeping him in. Like they're just, they don't have the same protective standards as the NFL does.
I normally
That's a good
I kind
analogy.
of poo-poo sports analogies a lot of time, but I feel like this one's very good.
It
This
relates to
one's very
sports
apt.
with politics. Is I mean, it does relate. It's. I mean, especially nowadays. Again, like when I went to that Trump rally, you were there. Can I say that?
Yeah, I was there.
It was sweet in a way because it was like, wow, it's kind of like being at a sports event where everybody in the stadium is cheering for the same team. There's not one person from the visiting team out there. But anyway, as far as changing them, they should change it though. I mean, really, can't we have respectable parties that put up like some amazingly talented human being?
Yeah.
And again, I don't want them to have a silver tongue. I would rather them not. Like,
Silver tongue.
yeah, like you're saying, like, oh, Obama was so great with that. He was just
he was
another
a good speaker.
savvy salesperson. These guys
Well,
are
yeah,
all salespeople.
But I mean, he could talk, and you
Yeah.
felt like, okay, what
Trump
he
can
said
talk.
was intelligent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But
We don't
again,
have
but,
that
but that's
right now.
but
We
that's
don't even
smoke
have
but that's
that.
smoke and mirrors though.
but we
that's
don't even have that.
nicest
Wouldn't you rather
people-
like have that?
No, I don't want somebody blowing smoke at my ass. No.
So you'd rather have the person who can't complete sentences, like Joe Biden. You'd rather have that than Obama.
Yes. Yes, because I think he's actually less dangerous than somebody who's like really like crafty and malicious like Obama is.
Huh.
Yeah. It's we're splitting hairs here. It's not like you gave me two good options. I had to pick one. I want to say I don't want either of them. And and it's like, and I love Trump, but is there somebody else there more qualified than Trump? Probably.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's other good business people out there, successful people that have done things in the world that have made things better and led to success.
Yeah, it doesn't instill like hatred in a lot of people. Yeah.
that I think is manufactured.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point is like a lot of people will vote for anybody but him. You could run a dog against him,
Yeah,
and people would vote for the dog because
you're
they
gonna have
hate
that
him
every
so
election.
much.
You're gonna have that every election with that
But
side.
no, he's definitely heightened that. He is
I don't know.
amongst the highest
All the stuff that
rated.
I hear about people saying about Donald Trump, I heard the same stuff about George Bush.
Yeah, and they didn't have to do it with Mitt Romney because he sucked. He wasn't a threat at all. Only these guys that are threats, they have to,
Yeah, I don't-
with all force, try to, all right, everything, all hands on deck. Anything we can do to make this guy look bad. Anything he says, anything he looks at, breathes. Let's go back to his history. I mean, that's what they're doing with the most dangerous ones.
What do you think about when he like made fun of the handicap reporter?
That was debunked. He didn't.
He
make fun
never
of,
did that?
He did it the same. He made fun of him the same way he makes fun of everybody. He wasn't purposely mimicking that person step for step. There's many examples of him when he mocks somebody the way they talk. He does it in the exact same way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
He just makes fun of everybody like that.
And you know what?
Opportunity
And do you think that because the person is like physically handicapped that he can't take a ribbing like you and I can? Like we're better than this guy? Like we could take the Trump ripping us a little bit, but that guy can't handle it. You think he's too soft
he's
because
not
he's
like
handicapped?
he's not like an open mic comedian.
No, but do you think he's
like
he's
a
an adult?
president?
No, I know, but the guy, do you think he's got a little thicker skin than that? I think he does.
All right, I don't want to. We should be done.
Well,
with
we're a little off
this.
topic. We're a little off topic.
Yeah.
What are all these papers you brought with? And I see
This
there's a
is
CD
yeah,
too.
burn
like,
specialty here.
Oh man,
Like,
we went way over, didn't we?
we don't. I mean, who cares? We're freeforming it.
Yep.
We're at 35 minutes right
that
now.
was 18 minutes
See,
on
and, like,
Big Boy press conference.
That's perfect.
Just see how time flies though. If we're at 35 minutes, when it's been like 10, that's crazy.
When it's been like 10.
All right, so the next or these papers are class action lawsuits.
Yeah.
I'm in a position where I get these notices of class action lawsuits filed throughout this country, so I just brought in a couple of them. I
To
thought
make lawyers rich, right?
What do you
I
got
thought
for
that'd be
us,
interesting. Yeah,
To
that's
make lawyers rich, and then like us, we get our check for $3.88, right?
yeah, that's what happens in most class actions. I think. I
Been
don't
my
know.
experience, except once. One time, I got a check for $299 and a $50 gift card on top of it. I was pretty stoked.
It's the
What'd you get?
I got a class action lawsuit. I bought a Toshiba laptop way back in the late '90s, and there was a class action lawsuit there. Actually, ended up getting a check for like $299, $300 or something like that, plus a $50 gift card towards Toshiba products.
Nice.
It was awesome. I couldn't believe it. When
Was
I
it
got that.
related to like battery performance?
No,
or
if I
something?
remember correctly, it was related to the floppy disk drive, and it had some kind of defect with it where
Tom knows
would-
about floppy disk drives.
love the floppy disks. what? I don't quite get the connection, but that was
But they're-
funny. That was
yeah,
funny.
there's
Love them floppy.
some sort of defect where like would not write the last byte properly, and I guess people lost data or something like that. So, man, I was like, wow, this is pretty sweet. I just bought the laptop like a year and a half ago, and I needed money to buy my PlayStation 2, and there it was. So,
Bam.
Nice.
great,
PS2. All right. Well, I think before we get into that, I'd like to take a little pause here, take a little fiver.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stop here, and we're gonna take a little commercial break, and we'll be back to you in about 30 seconds.
The packaged food industry is ringing in the new year with glee. After record earnings in 1986, there's hardly a cloud in sight for 1987. Costs are holding steady, and last year's federal tax changes should lighten the burden. Analysts say this could let the $200 billion industry, which typically earns 4% after taxes, boost its net income by perhaps 17%, without alienating consumers with big price increases.
Okay. Yeah, we are back now from
all right, we're back.
message from our sponsor.
Donated all this, well, not all, but donated a good portion of this
You didn't know we had sponsors, Brent?
Are we going to talk about this class action
Yep.
tire complaint, or should I wait until later?
No, we should talk about it
Yeah,
now.
let's talk about it now. Let's continue on.
So this is a big class action complaint filed in the United States recently on April 17th, and it's titled Marcy Aberman et al. We'll get back to the et al. Later, Dave, but versus Continental, Nokian, Goodyear, Pirelli, Michelin, Bridgestone, all the major tire manufacturers.
Is
And
BF Goodrich on that list or included
Yes.
in that? All right, sweet.
so the complaint starts with, so just so you know, a class action complaint is where a complaint is filed and then a class has to get certified, where anybody who's amongst the class, a judge will decide. So in this case, it's going to be anybody who purchased tires from 2021 to 2023 in the United States. Anybody who purchased
That's me.
for regular vehicles. So it's a huge class. The complaint starts with the average price of tires rose 21% from 2021 to 2023, more than 70% higher than the overall inflation for that same period. These price increases do not reflect cost increases or limited supply, but instead reflect the defendant's unlawful horizontal price fixing agreement to set prices of new replacement tires for passenger cars, vans, trucks, and buses sold in the United States. Okay. Well, what do you guys think about that?
So,
What the
okay.
heck?
So, I'm excited to get my check. Well, I've actually put tires
I said to get my check.
on
you
cars a couple times in that time period. So I'm excited to get both my checks for $3.88.
said. What were the dates again?
From 2021 to 2023.
Oh, I mean, definitely.
Yeah,
The defendants listed are Continental, Michelin, Nokian, Goodyear,
Goodyear. That's mine.
Pirelli, Italian. Hey now. Bridgestone.
is that BF Goodrich Bridgestone?
Yes.
Yeah, I bought a set of those and I bought a set of Michelin's. So yeah, I think I'm owed some money here.
Could be. You and millions of other Americans. The reason why I brought this up is because everybody buys tires, right? The ramifications of this lawsuit, given the number of people who may be certified in this class at some point, could be in the millions. And then when you add the dollar amount, it could be hundreds of millions of dollars here at stake. So I'm reading from the complaint here. This is where we get kind of into the meat and potatoes of the complaint. A small number of firms dominate the tire market in the United States. 3 firms: Bridgestone, which encompasses Bridgestone and Firestone; Michelin, which encompasses Michelin, BF Goodrich, and Uniroyal; and Goodyear, which encompasses Goodyear, Cooper Tires, Dunlop, and Kelly Tires, account for roughly 2/3 of the market in the United States. 2/3, unbelievable. Continental, Nokian, and Pirelli, they're kind of listed as lesser defendants. They don't have quite the market share. But the structure of the tire market and the defendants' role in it gave them ample opportunity for collusive communication. So I haven't scanned through the rest of this. I totally should have. I'm sorry I let you down, audience. But
It's like a college presentation.
if I were to read this 50-page complaint, what it's going to culminate in is that those 3 major manufacturers and those lesser ones to some degree all communicated with one another and made an agreement, a secret agreement, to all raise their prices in unison. So the price of tires increased dramatically starting in 2021, and that increase had nothing to do with their cost to make the tire or their cost to distribute it. That increase in costs solely had to do with the fact that they secretly agreed to all in unison raise their prices. So it just brings up, it's a good antitrust case because it gets to questions of, what is a free market? What we all know what eBay is, right? That's kind of like my example for what a true free market is. You can see what the costs of things are, and you can scroll down and you can buy it. You can buy whatever you want from whoever you want, but this is not that. This is the people who control the means of production for tires all collectively understood that, hey, we're in a unique position here to increase all of our profits if we just all collectively agree to charge more money for our products.
And how do they know that they agreed on it? Is that in the 50-page portion or?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have like evidence of them communicating and stuff, I would guess.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm just going to say yes. I haven't scrolled through it.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how much detail they get into. In these complaints, it's often very broad, like they had communications with one another, but rarely in the complaint do they go into like specific minute details about when these things were communicated. But yes.
But they talk about it during like the trial?
For sure. Yes, at a trial is when you'd be introducing an exhibit to really hone in on the points you want to prove. Yes. So what the heck? Tires, Dave, you did you notice the increase? Because everybody who I brought this case up to has been like, I bought tires recently and they were so expensive.
Yeah. I noticed, when I was buying them, it was like, yeah, man, I didn't think I'd be spending that type of money on tires, but I knew I was getting some kind of higher end ones, but I'm like, man.
Is it over $100 a tire now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
200.
Easily. It was like, it was over $200 a tire on a Toyota Camry, of all things. So
Yeah, my stupid Accord has got like such low profile, such stupid size. And then they weren't cheap. It was over 200 easily.
Did you replace yours recently?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think 2023. Like last year or 22. No, 22 cuz I used it. Yeah, 2022, I'm sure. I know for sure it was in that window. I got the slips of when I would like get the service done on my car. I just was like, well, yeah, everything's just super expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, everything went up, and that's really also a reason why I target this case, because this sort of collusion, horizontal collusion, meaning like competitors at the same level. This sort of collusion probably happened in every industry.
Oh yeah,
probably.
Right?
They just blamed inflation or blamed the pandemic or blamed whatever was going on at the time. Oh, got to raise prices.
Yeah, you can't waste a good
Crisis,
right? Yeah.
So I feel like this case could be a good bellwether for maybe other industries, maybe like future cases to be brought.
All right, so everyone save your receipts. Save your receipts if you got them out there, because you get a check for $3.88.
What I was thinking with this too is like we were talking about how, the attorneys are going to be making a ton of money. Obviously, great. Well, but then the idea is though to hold these companies accountable and punish them. Okay, so then they have to fork over $1 billion, let's say, in this thing. Then what?
Then they raise the prices $1 billion
exactly.
to make up for it.
Exactly. Yep. That's just what sucks.
Just the snake eating its tail.
Yeah, it's just a
vicious cycle.
Yeah, I mean, what are we we're not going to ultimately gain. And then if we let it go, then they're going to just continue
Let's do it. Oh, hey, we got away with it last time. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so
except we'll do it worse this time.
I mean, then you're going to get into, okay, now we're going to force you to now you can only charge $100 a tire. Okay, that's getting a little hairy too.
That's too, can't get anywhere near that.
Yeah,
can't get anywhere near that.
It's kind of interesting. Like, no, I don't want to stray off, but it's just some of these issues, man. And it's what's good. What we're talking about it. It's just where do you even begin?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you start a?
So is the trial started?
No,
okay.
It's the complaint has just been filed. A trial will likely never happen in these class action cases. The vast majority of them end up in settlement, and each time a specific defendant settles, then you will receive notice. And there has been no settlements in this case. The only notice I have is that the complaint was filed. So we're years away from this thing resolving itself. Years away. But I wanted to ask, and shame on me for tying it back to this, but do you think at all Trump being president and that uniquely just pro-business climate is the reason why there was so much price gouging?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they used like I said before, inflation and the pandemic as excuses to raise prices. I don't think tire industry is
the president.
I don't think so. I think no matter who we had president, they saw that coming, and because how many times did we see due to the pandemic, insert dumb bad thing we got to deal with
supply chain issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, supply chain issues and it just no. I don't think the president had anything to do with it.
Reduced hours so staff can fully clean the building to make it safe for your shopping.
Or we can't find anyone who wants to work at our minimum wage that we're paying.
And I think you guys are right, because this particular case has been brought in the European Union as well for billions of dollars. So it's global.
Yeah.
So in other words, it can't be restricted to the U.S. president if they're bringing these cases for billions of dollars in other parts of the world. So, yep, I just wanted to ask you what you thought about that. Okay, here's the next one. What do you think? Well, I wanted to hear your opinion about auto defects.
Well, okay, just give me a quick overall
Okay,
view
so
of it.
one is
Don't make anything up.
captioned
Just like what automobile defects. There's like,
Washburn versus Porsche Cars North America.
okay.
And it has to do with a defective fuel pump in Porsche vehicles.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, I guess
Porsche's a premier
Yeah,
auto
but
manufacturer.
a lot of these, high-end auto manufacturers have vehicles that are very expensive to maintain and very expensive to fix things on because they bury parts or they use just
bury parts?
well, like they make it to get to a certain sensor or something. You got to take apart a big chunk of the engine or things like that.
Oh, I see.
So like
It's
if they
like
got
Engineering
spark-
nightmares.
Engineering
Change spark
nightmares.
plugs, 28-hour job.
yeah, stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
you gotta we gotta remove we have to remove the engine from the vehicle to get to the spark plugs. There's all sorts of stupid things like that with modern automobiles and probably even some more older automobiles as well. But what are they saying with the fuel pumps?
Frick. This is why I feel like an idiot, because I don't have the
Well, feel
details.
like
So
it.
Dave, what's your experience with Porsche?
So I don't own a Porsche. I
Oh.
don't think I've ever driven a Porsche.
But you kind of know about them.
I'd love to try driving one. Everyone tells me it's like a Miata, but with a lot of power. So
Yeah, I'd
I
say
think it'd be a blast.
yeah, because I remember I've ridden in a friend of mine's parents' one, and it was very like it handled crazy, kind of like the Miata did. But yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's got like a super fast engine.
Yeah,
too.
so I'd love to try one of these days. I've heard that the Porsche dealerships are pretty open to people test driving, so maybe someday I should just pull up to my Miata and it's like, hey, I tell them, hey, I've heard that these are like Miatas, just with a lot of power. I'm kind of interested, and see if they throw me the keys. So
Nice.
I would love to. I feel like, every human being should drive a Porsche someday, or like a Mercedes. Just
I've driven
like
Mercedes.
German-
Actually, I had a Mercedes rental vehicle, and the thing was terrible.
really
In
Oh,
Vegas.
it was awful.
It
It
had
was in
already
in
been
Vegas,
beat
right?
to shit, or you think it was just made bad?
No,
to
it was just
begin
made
with?
crummy. It had like
Interesting.
Wasn't it that convertible we had in Vegas that you had?
no, that was a BMW. That thing was
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
No, this was a Mercedes, some Mercedes SUV, and I think it was a GLA 250 if I remember correctly. But the thing was just sluggish. I mean, every time you started it would be in eco mode, which a lot of cars do that, and you'd have to flip it to get into sport mode to get any type of responsiveness on it. You had to shut off the auto stop, otherwise the engine shut off at stoplights and stuff like that.
dude.
And this is like a premium brand. Why am I getting all this?
So you can shut that off in cars that
Yeah, there's usually like a little
Oh.
like symbol with like an A and a circle around it with an arrow. You can shut that off, but you have to shut it off every time you start the car.
Oh, no way. I would
Yeah,
never want a car
And the
like
Mercedes
that.
was like that. You had to,
No way.
This is what I would do. I
If
would
they
start
start
the
making
car,
every car like that, I'm going to be pissed.
I would start the car, and then I would go through and turn it to sport mode, and then I'd shut that thing off. Then I'd go. So I'd do all these extra steps. And then the car itself, the interior wasn't even that nice. I mean, it didn't even have
Yeah.
heated seats. I'm like, this is a Mercedes. What's going on here? I mean,
So you've driven one that does that engine shut off nonsense.
oh, yeah. I've driven...
So when you're at the stop, there's no way it's you hit it and it's like a golf cart. You hit it and it starts back up and like
Yeah.
there's no way you're hitting that. It's like you're driving a 90s car or something that's super old where you put the gas on and there's this big delay.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think I'd take a 90s car over...
It helps
Really,
the
yeah.
earth, Tom.
But I'm just saying when they're older.
Like, but does it help that much?
What are
Yeah,
you
I mean, that's crazy.
chagrining that you're like, oh, the earth.
It doesn't, I mean, does it
That's
really help the
the
Earth?
planet, right?
Well,
Does
listen,
it?
okay,
That's what
let's
they
say,
want you to think.
let's say
How
now
do you know?
have all this extra stuff manufactured for the car to have that system, okay?
Yeah.
And now let's say parts are wearing out faster because
Oh,
it's
I
starting to
see.
stopping.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to have to change that part out, which means that part's going to have to, more parts that are going to have to be made.
Yeah,
More
kids in
parts are gonna have
Africa
to
are making burn.
be- Yeah, kids in
They're
Africa.
killing them, so they're getting killed
And
to make these
They're
parts for your
attempting
eco.
to improve something,
But
and
as
I'm
you're-
not just gonna kibosh it because they're attempting to improve it. I hear what you're saying though. It's like if you don't make it perfect, You're gonna just be burning
Yeah.
waste.
You're making all the
these
waste, making new
replacement
ones.
parts. Yeah,
And
I hear you.
taking things to the junkyard or
I still
having more
wanna-
cars be made because people are replacing things with that because they don't want it. So really, to get what? How much did you save? Have you ever sat and idle a car for hours? I've done that.
I haven't, but cops
I have.
do
Yeah,
all
cops
the time.
do. You know how much it does when they
Yeah.
idle? They idle for like 4 or 5 hours. Start at a full tank, you get back in the car. It's maybe down to 3/4, usually at 7/8. So now, how often do you sit at a stoplight idling in your normal driving?
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's
Yeah, a lot of
really
these
burning
are-
that much
Right, it's
fossil
not burning
fuel.
that much.
Okay.
It's more kind of like when you're buying this is like half the calories food or diet something, or it's like it's marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah,
So, we get our gas mileage numbers up when we do the testing.
it could be. So
It's not marketing.
back on his. No,
It's a good idea.
Absolutely marketing to people like you that love that kind of stuff.
No,
you would pay extra money if you knew that your car was eco in some way. You would pay extra money for that, would you not?
No, it's not. No, just if something's labeled eco, no. But I'm just saying the idea is sound.
Sure,
the idea
sure.
is sound. It's like if there's hundreds of millions of cars just idling every day, like what can we do to improve that?
Well, and I could make the argument that, hey, I like that because I want to save some money on my gas. I don't want to spend as much money on gas. You know, if I still don't think like, oh, it's not helping the environment, well, maybe am I using less gas? Cool,
Sure.
cool.
Sure.
You know,
so like the idea is sound.
Sure,
That's all
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
It's-
no,
it's
for
not
sure.
a gimmick.
What I'm kind of curious though is like what Dave's saying about that. Like, it's like back in the day, the cars were super super simple, but they were like terrible on gas. It reminds me of
were
like,
they though? Like,
well,
like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. My Lumina did pretty well with gas. I think it was 1993.
Well, those still are like more modern than what I'm talking about.
What are you
even.
talking about? Stuff from the 80s?
Well, like the stuff that all the cars that they have in Cuba. Have you seen that? Have you seen
Oh,
any
like on the
video on that?
50s, and like they
Yeah,
keep making them.
exactly,
That's not really a good example because they've got just a weird situation where they have to try
But
and
it's
keep
I know, but it's
ancient
cool.
things going.
I know, but they got them going to what they're using it for, and I think that's kind of cool. Where it's like nowadays, yeah, we're buying this, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 thing, and 15 years later we're throwing it away or less.
Mm-hmm.
And this they made these in the 50s, and they're still using them, still rebuilding them. It'd be sweet to be able to have an option to buy something that's like, okay, I'm going to buy this type of car. It's not going to have all this computerized stuff, but I'm going to be able to rebuild it. I'm going to be able to repaint it, rebuild it, and stuff like that, and keep it for 50, 100 years.
Well, and you're going to see a lot of that happening with like the older cars. People are just going to hang on to them because a lot of the cars these days, it's so hard to like bring them back like that. Like they have parts that are tied to the VIN number, and you can't just go to the junkyard and get one and put it in because it's going to say the VIN numbers don't match and not work. So then you're going to have to go to a dealer and pay someone thousands of dollars to, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of dollars to program it. And who's going to want to?
It's those, the computerized parts and the rubber parts and plastic parts.
Yeah.
When cars were more just chunks of steel, you could rebuild them for life like that.
A lot of those cars in Cuba, they actually are rebuilt. They don't have like the V8s in them anymore. They've got
okay.
4-cylinder Russian Lada engines in them.
Okay.
And they take forever to like get going, but it's just like that. I've saw a show like that, I think on YouTube or something like that, but just kind of was going over that and just, man, the ingenuity these people have come up with to keep these like classic,
Keep them going.
classic 50s, 60s American cars going with just whatever parts they can get their hands on. It's
That's cool
absolutely
as hell.
amazing.
That's so cool.
But I think that
You can't go out and buy anything brand new right now that you can do that too.
no, you
Nothing.
can't. I mean,
No.
there's like
They don't want you to.
No,
That's
they
by
don't want you to.
design.
Yeah, you go and spend
Spend
$100,000-$200,000 on a vehicle right now. It's going to be trash in 15 years unless you're dumping then another equivalent amount of money into it. You know, to keep it mint.
Keep it in tip
That's
top.
why-
And keeping it mint, you're basically just replacing these parts. So you're basically just kind of replacing the vehicle anyway.
well, and that's why I hang on to some of these older vehicles I have because they don't make them like that anymore.
Well, yeah, and they're still all your vehicles are still, I mean, considered to a lot of people modern, but
Right, and they are.
but you're right. They're making it. They're going even further and further and
Right,
further and
like-
further.
Like my Camry, it's got a V6 in it, and I think it's like something like 278 horsepower, something crazy like that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like what sold it on me when I was driving. It's like, man, this thing's got power. You can't go get a Camry like that these days. They're 4 cylinders. Maybe someone with maybe the hybrids have a little bit more get up and go, but I don't know.
I don't know about that.
And they're putting CVT transmissions in a lot of stuff, and that just doesn't. I don't know. Just every time I've driven a car with CVT, it seems to have a lot of delay, or just isn't as responsive as a traditional automatic. And
I wonder if that's what mine's got. I don't know. I've never had any issues. But
your Honda,
maybe
it might.
But anyway, so okay, wait a minute. Back to the Porsche.
Yeah. So
what were they doing?
Yeah, what are they talking about with the fuel pumping defective?
To be honest, I just made that up. I don't know because these class action notices that you get,
sorry, Porsche,
aren't actually required to specify what the case is about. They do tell you what the case is about, except they give you a link to a website that has the court documents that will say what the complaint is about. It'll have the actual complaint. It's just, because I'm looking at the notice itself, all I can see is a website address, and I don't want to bother you with pulling that up. But it has to do with, I've looked at enough of these to know it probably has to do with the fuel pump.
Okay. Well, fuel pumps can be a very big hassle to get to, because a lot of cars you have to drop the fuel tank out to get at it, and sometimes there's cars that have suspension parts in front of the fuel tank, so it can get to be a pretty big job pretty quickly.
Sure, and if you just bought a brand new vehicle for $60 grand, or
right, but if it's brand new and I pay $60 grand for it, which probably pay more, but if it's brand new, and that goes out in say 20,000 miles, it should be covered under warranty.
Oh, I see.
So
these ones must not be, because otherwise it wouldn't have reached this status.
Yeah, I don't know.
The owners are somehow incurring a cost that has led to this lawsuit.
Yeah, and I've never owned a Porsche, so I don't know. Maybe their warranties are different, or
I'm going to have more details about the vehicle defects next time, because it's not just Porsche. It's all vehicle manufacturers are routinely subject to these class action lawsuits. GM, Toyota, Subaru, etc. No one's off limits. So next time I'll have more detail.
All right, yeah. So
cool.
We'll table that one.
This is the last one I had. Do you mind if I do one more of these?
No, I want to hear it. Is it about cars, or is it about microwaves or something?
No.
Yeah? Did I get it right?
Microwaves.
This case is captioned "In-Ray FTX cryptocurrency exchange collapse litigation."
Dave, you know about that kind of things.
No, I don't have any cryptocurrency at all.
You're mining some.
From a very high. This is one of the highest profile cases in the United States. It has to do with this FTX cryptocurrency exchange. It was owned by, the major defendant, his name is Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He kind of has this wiry black hair. He has a very distinct look.
Yeah, I can picture him in my mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen reports on him. But this is...
So they filed a big class action case.
Is that just happening now? Because this happened a year ago or so, didn't it?
Yes. They had a criminal case against him, which he was convicted of. This is the civil case where investors are trying to recoup some of the money they lost. But this specific notice is related to one of the defendants in the case. It is not Sam Bankman-Fried. It is a defendant named Trevor Lawrence.
Never heard of that name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tom probably has.
Football player. No.
Yep.
I'm old enough to be his high school teacher.
There were numerous athletes who were given money to promote the FTX cryptocurrency exchange.
Yeah.
Like Steph Curry, Tom Brady, etc. And they were all named as defendants in this civil case. So one by one, they're going to have to make settlements. And this specific one just relates to... So anyway, I just thought that one was cool because it has some high-profile defendants.
Yeah.
Not just the Sam Bankman-Fried, but the high-profile athletes who got paid millions of dollars to promote this cryptocurrency exchange to people, and they promoted it to the public as if it were a safe investment.
But they were scammed too, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you when they promoted on their commercial,
They weren't scammed because they were paid millions of dollars.
right,
No,
but they probably
I know,
didn't know
but-
that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Is my guess. And I imagine
Sure.
on the commercial, it probably had some sort of thing at the fine print saying,
Disclaimer.
disclaimer, this is
But
this
if-
could lose value, this is a risky investment, or something along
If
those
you're
lines.
getting paid,
Talk to your financial advisor.
if you're getting paid millions of dollars to promote something, wouldn't you want to like figure out if it's a legitimate thing before you
Well,
associate your name with it?
Maybe they did.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crypto. I mean, I'm sure. Oh yeah, that's. I mean, what are they? How are they going to check? How are they going to know?
Right. I mean,
You
I
know?
think if someone came to me and said we're going to pay you some money to talk about crypto, I'd be say, okay, well, let me research this crypto to see is someone actually just trying to, do a scheme where they're going to, I don't know, where they've got planned to scam. Is that information available to me? And if it isn't, okay, I've done my due diligence. Can I, I would still say, make sure you put something on the commercial, a disclaimer saying that this could be a risky investment. It could become worth zero, blah blah blah, and
Then you're good.
Then-
Then you cash
well,
your
then-
$1 million check.
well,
Your conscience is clear.
if I'm telling people that
You're a spokesperson.
if I'm a spokesperson,
That's it. You're not.
if I'm not lying about anything,
not running the company. You're just hired help.
yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, I'm not going to make outrageous claims. If they gave me a script to read and I read the script and I'm like, no, I don't agree with this. This is all BS, and rewrite it and make it in line with what I've been able to research. Okay, yeah, I would do that. If they put something in for my face that I said we'll pay you $1 million, but they said this is outright lies. Well, no, I'm not going to just read it and cash $1 million check because I know it's going to come back and bite me. Probably going to cost me more than $1 million and probably
Okay.
make a problem. But at the same point in time, if they give me a script and it's a legitimate script where I'm talking about you can invest and and experts in this study think it'll go up this amount of percent and okay, sure. I read the study. Yeah, I think they're correct. Yeah, sure. Why not?
And it should be noted that Bitcoin has sustained its price throughout. Like, it's still very highly valued.
Yeah.
It's just that
It's volatile, but
this exchange where people went to trade cryptocurrency went completely belly up. Many billions of dollars.
Well, because he was
lost.
like, it wasn't like legit. It was like it was like shady banking kind of, right?
Yeah.
'Cause he was like using the money to like spend on other things, invest in other things, borrow to people or something like that, or
Yeah,
I don't know the
too
specifics,
the exact
yeah.
details, but yes.
something around that. I
It
feel
is
like, yeah.
the case revolved around shady accounting,
Right.
Very fraudulent accounting practices. Well, yeah, I think just kind of to summarize what you were saying, I think the people in this lawsuit would argue that the celebrity promoters did the latter,
yeah.
where they just took the script
And
and
read
took
it
the
and
money
took
and
the
read
money?
it. Yeah. Whereas I'm sure they individually are going to make arguments, kind of what you were saying. Like, no, I did some due diligence and
Yeah.
I in good faith thought that this
Right.
would be a good product. So I took the money, but I also thought it would, in good faith, would be a good investment. Okay. That's it. That's all I had for those. Thanks.
So-
let's see how long we fucking went over on that.
Oh, I don't think we really need to constrain ourselves these times. I have no idea why you're timing how long we talk about stuff.
Wow, that one was 20
Well,
minutes too.
to make it appealing to somebody who's maybe wanting to listen to us.
Yeah,
You know.
I don't know. I mean, people are gonna listen to us if they find our content interesting. If they're if they think we suck, they're gonna either fast forward it till they're stop talking and we're talking about something else, or
Yeah.
we're just gonna go away.
Well, that's why it's like we're making an attempt to make it entertaining.
yeah,
Yes. An attempt.
That's the point.
I'll make
Yeah.
we'll
You know.
make better attempts in the future.
Yeah, but it's still just being
an
natural.
attempt was made.
the tech
Yeah.
was made.
I brought in this stuff,
Yeah.
you guys.
I'm
Yes.
impressed.
I'm impressed too.
This is what I expected out of you, Bern. I knew you were capable of doing this.
I'll have it better organized next time though.
Yeah, I
'Cause
can't
these
do
class
that.
action
So-
cases are just gonna keep coming.
Uh,
And odds are, like lots of people are affected by them. It varies how much, but some of them, like this tire case, tens of millions of people are affected by that.
So I want to kind of touch on this one thing with the celebrities advertising things. Do either of you, when you see a celebrity advertising things, think, "Oh, if that celebrity's saying that, I gotta go get on this thing"? I when I see that, it's got no effect on me. I don't immediately run out and buy XYZ because I think this famous celebrity uses it or endorses it. Do you guys feel that way, or is that?
Yeah, I definitely have had questions about advertising for a long time, and I'm not trying to like not answer your question. It's just I'm going to answer a different one, and it's
So you're not answering my question.
when I listen to radio a lot on iHeart Radio.
Yeah.
And they run different commercials than the ones they do on broadcast radio. And it's clear that they don't have the same number of advertisers. So very frequently during a commercial break, you will hear the same exact commercial run 3 times in a row.
Well,
And
then those ones are more targeted too.
those, when I hear that, it actually has the opposite effect on me. Like, I will make it a point. They will advertise like a podcast or something that they want you to listen to. I will make it a point to never listen to that because I get so sick of hearing that advertisement repeated that
Right.
it has the total opposite effect of
So
what advertising is meant to do.
So that brings up another question. If like any of our 2 viewers are in advertising, maybe you can leave a comment and fill me in here. But I always hear people say things like that, like, "Okay, there's an advertisement, and you may not be liking the commercial, but hey, you're talking about the product." Okay, right? You might be talking about the product, but you're talking about the product in a negative view. And how does that help? I hear about cases where people will leave bad reviews and negative reviews, and they'll get sued, or the company will be trying to get them to take that down. So that seems to be counter to what people say is, oh, any advertising is good advertising. Anytime someone talks about it, it's good. I don't get that. Can someone
It makes
How
it
come you-
explain that to me?
relevant.
How come you brought up the celebrities to begin with? Like, what is your...
Because you were just talking about
your
that.
opinion? Okay, yeah, with the
I-
cryptocurrency. My
No, 'cause
guess
you-
is the celebrities have no sway on you.
Right, because I remember actually a long time ago in elementary school, or had some kind of thing where we talked about advertising, and one of the things they talked about was how companies hire celebrities to talk about their product and make you think, hey, this celebrity uses this, I want to be like that celebrity, so I'm going to go use this. And when I saw that, I kind of thought, like, even back then, I'm like, well, that just seems really manipulative. And and so every time I see that, I'm just, okay, well, it just doesn't seem to phase me because I think back to that. And so every time I see that, I always wonder, do other people see that and think, this celebrity is using this product, I'm going to go buy it because I like that celebrity, or I want to be like that celebrity.
It makes it relevant. It doesn't necessarily. It's not gonna like advertisement. I think. And I knew somebody that worked in advertisement for a very long time. Well, man.
Yes.
So it's like subconscious, and I truly believe this. I believe your point too, where some of it, there's certain things. Oh, I'm gonna not do this because of this. I'm never gonna donate my car to Cars for Kids because I've heard that commercial.
God,
already.
that jingle is
Times, right?
so crazy. It's
But-
like part of American fabric at this point.
But there's probably a number of people that if they are, I gotta get rid of this car. Oh, we can do Cars for Kids. They're not going to be as passionate as us about hating it and purposely not doing it. Because it's so normally heard that it's relevant. It's a legit thing. It's a legit place. They're gonna utilize that service, and so it's a more like subconscious programming. I mean, it's called programs when you listen to a radio program, a TV program, this program. It's part of programming. This advertisement, I think it's subconscious, and I think it does alter our buying behaviors, whether we think it or not. It affects them in one fashion or another. And then again, I mean, yeah, it affects it. if you don't go, you think it's the opposite effect. But again, then you're talking about it more. Other people are not going to be as passionate about wanting to do what we want to do about certain things. They might have their certain things too, but in general, the exposure is going to outweigh that in almost every case.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think. But
I'm trying to think of a product where somebody sponsored it and I was like, oh, I need that because of this person says it. And nothing's really jumping out.
yeah, I just don't think it just isn't really designed to work that way. You know.
Yeah,
There's
you're more
some-
saying it's like their name is just like lending credibility to the product. So it's not like you buy the product because of the celebrity associated with it. Just that product has more credibility because this person who everybody knows acknowledges it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's being advertised on this, you know, this thing everybody watches, everybody hears this, you know, so yeah, it's, I don't know, it's normal. I think ones that I can think of that directly influence me more, like maybe like food advertisements, restaurants, and beverages and things that.
Yeah.
You know, boy, that sandwich looks super good.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when lunchtime hits and I'm getting a little hungry, boy, I want to try that new something.
Yeah, I remember
and,
that.
You know?
I remember that Baconator.
Yeah,
commercial.
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
that works on me. You know, you know, and it's not necessarily
Food
gonna be the celebrity.
advertisement's good.
Yeah, and so it's everything like that. And I think like on the iHeartRadio thing, you're seeing different ones because it's through your computer, so that they're able to customize those more. And
No, it's definitely a flaw in what they're doing because I will definitely hear a ad for a podcast. It's like they don't have enough advertisers to fill their own air. So what they do is just promote their own podcasts that they're making. And when it happens that they don't have enough air and they just end up promoting their own podcast 3 times in a row to you, you end up like hating that podcast because like
Sure.
you've heard that ad on repeat so many
and again,
times.
and you probably hate it, but they show that, okay, we show that if we've played this many times, we're getting this many more hits on this podcast. You know, I guarantee
that might
they
be
have
true
stats
for
that.
some parts, but no,
It's
would bet money
it's
on
why
the-
they exist is for that advertising money.
But I would bet money on the fact that they just don't have enough advertisers right now for the web application. Because you don't hear any variety in the commercial.
Because you're
It's
the
literally
same demographic.
commercial.
But you would if you changed, if you had different demographics, it would probably change. But because you have yours like custom to you, you know what I'm saying? Based
No.
on the radio stations and the podcasts and things that you're selecting,
I have
you're
to
logging
log
in as Chris.
Yeah, I have
you
to
know,
log in.
You're a male. You're within this age range.
Yeah, they can be targeted,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, imagine if you heard the Cars for Kids commercial for 3 minutes straight
Yep.
during a commercial break.
Which you hear on the regular radio.
No,
I
you
don't, because I shut the radio off when that
You
comes
don't.
on.
You don't turn.
Oh.
You don't hear it 3 minutes in a row.
Okay, not 3 minutes in a row, but I hear that Cars for Kids commercial many times.
Yeah.
I have K-Fan going on.
That's
all
true,
the time.
but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like literally, if you heard it 3 minutes on repeat,
Yeah.
Claw your ears
you,
out.
at the end of it, you would be like, I'm fucking hate Cars for Kids. And that's what's happening with them. And it doesn't have anything to do with like their programming. I'm sure they could do a better job with it. They just don't have like the requisite number of advertisers at this point. So they're left with, well, if we don't have advertisers to fill the space, what can we do? Let's promote our own podcast. Well, we don't have many podcasts. So what are we going to do? Well, let's just keep promoting the one. And then you're left with this thing. And yeah, that's a unique situation. I don't mean to
No.
take
It's-
away,
no, it's
because I
interesting.
feel
No, we're
like what
talking
you're
this.
talking about is a
We gotta have
much
something to talk
bigger,
about.
like the effective advertising. That's a much bigger scope.
Well, but to your
than
point
what
too,
I'm
though,
talking about.
is they're not sleeping on it though. I mean, they're doing everything they can to fill that stuff. I mean, that's big money for them. That's huge money for them. The only reason radio exists is because of advertisement.
Oh, yeah. I mean, TV too.
The only way that they get their money. Otherwise, if they didn't sell advertisement, they wouldn't exist. There'd be nothing generating their revenue. They're not just selling radio T-shirts, and things like that. It's these ads, so these companies can make money on us listening to these things on the radio. For good or for bad, for good or for bad, for better or for worse, till death do it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Do we have any more topics on the agenda?
No.
Nice.
I think Burns had enough.
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh, I guess we do.
There was one. Oh, let me go
All right,
back
so
to
guys,
this.
you get some more bonus extra hours or
Extra
whatever.
content. One of the defendants listed in this high-profile tire case we had talked about was Charles Dvorak.
Oh.
And Dave was scanning through that and noticed that name and then mentioned that the Dvorak keyboard was a thing.
Yeah, so there's another keyboard layout you can get called the Dvorak, and I don't use it, but I got a buddy who uses it.
I'll show it on the screen.
And Tom will show it on the screen. But it's a different layout of the keys. It's supposed to make you, once you kind of get the hang of it, be able to type faster and be more efficient. And that makes sense because the current keyboard that everyone has, the Qwerty keyboard.
What's it called?
Qwerty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you look at
yeah.
QWERTY.
QWERTY.
Yeah.
Right here, Brent?
right there.
Oh, okay.
It was actually made to slow people down because that's what was on typewriters.
Specifically to slow people
Yeah,
down. Isn't
because-
that amazing?
Because
that
it was
still
on typewriters.
exists?
You had, if you went too fast, because of how mechanical everything was, it would mess things up. So they had to find a way to slow people down. So they designed the keyboard in a way that makes it so it's slower to type.
And that's what we're all fucking using.
Right.
Are you kidding me
I'm not
right
kidding
now?
you. In
Well,
fact,
you use the
here's a bit
Dvorak
of
one. I think
trivia.
it's money. I think it works good.
Here's a bit of trivia.
I don't want to try this other one.
What's that? Yeah. Well, the top row, the longest word you can type on that is typewriter.
What do you mean?
Like using the keys in the top row.
Uh-huh.
If you think of a word, like the longest word you can type on a keyboard using just the top row keys.
Using the QWERTY
using
typewriter?
Yeah, the
Only those top rows,
which
which is like a little more than a third of all the letters.
Yeah,
in
the
the
longest word you can type with that is typewriter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a word longer.
If you find one,
That
let me
can't
know.
be-
Prove me wrong.
That can't be
There's no way.
coincidence.
No, it's not coincidence. It was done intentionally. But yeah, so there's this other layout called Dvorak, and I think it's like it's been a while since I've looked, but I think like all the vowels are right by each other, and it's just supposed to be a better pattern for typing quicker.
I just find this. Sorry to interrupt, but I just find this amazing that at some point in history, it was like humans are going too fast for this mechanical thing, so we're gonna make something intentionally designed to slow them down. And whatever, 50 years later,
We're still using it.
70 years later, they're like, oh yeah, this is a standard. What? We don't need to slow down at this point. There's no mechanical slow. Like,
Well,
we need to go
it's like
fast.
a relic now, because how are you going to get the whole population to change over? Everyone now has such the muscle memory to type on a QWERTY keyboard.
We just got to do it. We got to rip the Band-Aid
Well,
off.
yeah.
Note the time. I use his last name.
You've done that twice now.
Sorry.
The
We got to rip the Band-Aid off.
47.
though.
What? Two times recently?
2 times in this episode.
Well, when was the other time? I have
don't
no
know.
clue. I didn't
know.
hear it at all.
You just have to watch the whole thing. But I considered learning it when I first started doing it, but it helped people on the computer with their computers so often. Like, I'll get into that muscle memory of that one, and then someone will I'll have to go back to like my parents' house and do something on their computer, and I'm going to be typing all screwed up again. So it's just like, why do I want to try and learn this when I know I'm going to be on other computers?
No, I feel like this is a thing where like the federal government could actually help. Like
No.
if they,
No.
you don't think so?
What?
No, you can't just start demanding people use a certain keyboard.
Yeah. Why
You-
can't we just use one that's like normal?
So use one. What's stopping
They
you?
don't make one.
Yeah, you can get
The
a keyboard.
Dvorak one.
You get a
can
Dvorak. In
use that.
fact, you should be able to go into a computer and change the mapping of your keys to Dvorak.
Yeah, I've seen
even
that.
on a computer and still use a keyboard like that.
So the keys I'm pressing are actually will enter different
Yeah.
than what I'm. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Well, you'd have the layout,
Just buy one of those, Burn.
or just order a Dvorak keyboard off
order
Amazon.
a Dvorak
How
keyboard.
about we fix this thing, this relic from history? How about we all just fix it? Is that too much
fix-
to ask?
Yeah.
Why?
How many people out there are interested in
Fix
learning?
what? The keyboard on. Look at the keys on the. They
Don't
go like.
use that. I want to use this one.
How many people out there are interested in learning to type again? I think that's a very
Burn
low
is.
percentage.
He is very
out of
interested.
this.
He's so passionate. He wants the entire world to be
Yeah,
forced.
No,
to
you're
do
not
it.
gonna have to learn how to type. It's just gonna be intuitive.
No, you're gonna have to learn
As
how to type
opposed
again.
to the keyboard we're all
we've
have
we've been
now,
using
which
the
is
last
not intuitive.
20,
It was
25 years
designed to
doing this.
not
You-
be intuitive.
How long have you thought of that for? You just tonight. Now all of a
Yeah,
sudden
you
it's
just-
not intuitive for you.
like
You
No,
made it
it's
sound
got
like
to-
the
hey,
whole
listen,
life
you've got the
thought
muscle memory of doing it the way
No.
with this QWERTY keyboard.
Nope.
You've been using that for 20, 25
Nope.
years, and so has so many other people. Very few people are going to want to try
Nope. I'm sorry, folks.
and untrain that.
The
And
Q is not going to be in the upper left anymore. I'm sorry.
if you get to Dvorak, yeah, I mean,
This
there
is
was
something
a
Bert's been passionate about for 20
It's
years.
so stupid. It's
So
like
don't use
Exhibit
it.
A for
So
how
don't use
stupid
it.
humanity is.
It's like you said,
Is
but
the
don't
keyboard
use it.
layout. It is amongst the top 10 exhibits I would present in a court.
so then
Who's forcing you to use that though?
Yeah, I mean,
The,
you
the
can-
world is
How?
forcing me to use that. Because if you go to a store to try and buy a keyboard, that's the only layout you're gonna get.
Wrong.
Or you can go online and order one. Or if you go to a computer specialty store, they probably have them in stock.
Yeah, you can go to Micro Center and get one. I'm sure.
Yeah, you could probably go to a Micro Center.
So Bern, they exist. You can just buy one. It's like, oh, these shoes. Why do people wear tennis shoes? Well, wear sandals.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
That makes that's a great analogy.
It is.
Why not just wear sandals?
Yeah, if that's what you prefer.
because like you can buy them.
Yeah.
But if you go to a job and they're like, here's your workstation, what kind of keyboard are they going to give you?
They're probably going to give you a QWERTY keyboard.
Probably.
However, you'd be all right. You'd be with.
Probably.
They're probably going to give you a QWERTY keyboard. Yes.
Yes, that's 100% accurate.
know,
What he
however-
said.
Oh,
You
okay,
probably
so
would
you
be
don't
given
have
that.
a choice in that.
No, you didn't let me finish. You have
course you
other
could.
options. You could go into the computer settings or talk with IT and go to the computer centers, have them remap the keyboard for Dvorak.
When you
Or-
say remap the keyboard, though, Nick,
It's
Sorry.
a setting.
you're talking about like I hit the Q and it now means A. Think about how complex that is.
No, because all muscle memory, if you're typing out that pattern, you don't even look at
You're
the
not
keys.
even looking at
How
it.
many of you guys look at the
Absolutely
keys when you're typing?
Never.
Right.
Never.
Or you could order a keyboard. Maybe even if you work for a good company, they would have IT expensive or you'd feel expensive, and you plug
Yeah.
that one in. Or if you're really, really passionate about it, which you are, you can go to the dollar store, buy a thing of stickers with ABCs on it, and put them over the keys, and make your own homemade Dvorak keyboard.
But Osborne, he's working. You're working somewhere. You're working somewhere where they're forcing you at gunpoint to use this keyboard in order to be able to live on this planet.
No, that's exaggeration.
All right.
But I'm just trying
That's
to say,
fair,
like,
that's
that
fair.
keyboard is prominent. And it should not be prominent at this point in history.
Have you ever had issues with
It
it
is
up at this point in your
the
life?
definition of, like,
It's a-
outdated relic. It is outdated.
When have
And
you
the
ever
only reason
once had an issue with it?
it exists is because of momentum.
Well, when was one
Well-
time that you were like, oh,
Well, okay, so then
Probably every day. Probably
hey,
every day it
what?
happens.
On your keyboard that you get so frustrated and you're blaming the design?
Yeah.
All right, so
Every
then-
time
Wow, I
I
know.
look at that
I've never, so
Q
that's
in
cool.
the
All right,
upper
okay.
left corner.
Yeah. Okay.
all right, so then
What is
I've
this
personally never, but
letter
that's cool.
doing
I
up
respect
here?
that.
Nobody uses the Q.
All right. So then I take it you use Microsoft Windows, correct? You use Microsoft Windows,
he
right?
uses the
Yeah.
Q.
Well,
Shouldn't
does-
even be on the keyboard.
Does it irritate you that the hard drive is referred to with a
That's funny.
C? Because that's another relic.
Yeah.
Because when we had
It should start with A.
when we had
beginning of the
different disk
alphabet.
drives, we had A drive, B drive, but those are all obsolete now. But now we still use C.
Oh.
Does that bother you that way? Because
I
that's some obsolete relic going on right there. I don't
I
hear
had
you.
not thought of that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. I
Yeah.
could be. I'm persuaded. I feel like the keyboard ramifications are much more significant, but maybe not.
Yeah.
So yeah, all this antiquated stuff. Like, let's go. Let's get it out of here. The quicker we tear the Band-Aid off, the quicker
What
the
is-
wounds will heal.
What is the C drive doing to make things not work properly?
I don't know. What?
You're like, well, you're telling me. You just told me we got to rip the Band-Aid off and fix that.
No,
What's
but
it
I was
breaking?
talking about this.
Oh, the keyboard.
I was
Okay.
talking about the
Well, you
keyboard.
still haven't told me what the keyboard's breaking.
Oh, it's just like slowing data entry on a massive scale.
What about that thing they use in the
Slowing
in the
it on a
courtroom?
massive scale every single day.
But,
Millions
what's
of
that thing in
people
the
are
courtroom they
affected by
use?
it.
People have gotten so good at that, in spite of how it was meant to slow people
Can
down.
somebody comment?
People can type
leave a
super
comment.
fast on those things without having to look at the keys.
Yeah, I agree. Some people,
So,
some people
100
can.
plus, 100 plus.
Some
words
people
per minute.
can't. Some people still type with their index fingers
It's
and
possible,
stare
but
at the keyboard.
if they're looking at a Dvorak keyboard, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, those people will do
That's
the
true,
exact same
but
thing
at
on that
least
one.
we could start with something that wasn't intentionally designed to slow us down.
I don't know how much more efficient. In fact, I'll talk to my friend who uses Dvorak and ask him how much more efficient it's made him.
Yeah, because I
Cool.
would feel like that. It's like using some fancy like putter. I mean, you got to be a pretty decent putter anyway to be able to know the
Yeah,
difference.
it's just like a gimmick
know?
that'll get you over the hump or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, if you're typing 40 words per minute,
No, but just
Is
think
this
about it.
keyboard really gonna
Think
help you
about
much,
okay,
or-
to use your metaphor though, think about if you were using a putter that was intentionally designed to make you a bad putter. And that's what we're all starting
true.
with.
Yeah. So wait. So how did we get this confirmation that this was intentionally designed for that?
That's
This
like
is something I was told years ago.
yeah, that
Hmm.
was like taught to us in schools. I think it was like World War II era. People were just like too fast at the punching machines or something.
What are those things in the courtroom that they use? They're not regular typewriters.
No,
but
they
they're
have
like
special keyboards.
8 buttons or something.
They have a
and-
Dvorak keyboard?
No,
They have these
well,
different-
I
it's
don't
called
know.
something. What is it
I don't want
called?
to say no because, but it doesn't have like a
Stenographer?
key for every letter.
That sounds like the type of.
Yeah, stenographer is like the broader term for court reporter.
Is that, okay, that's like their the professional
But
name.
they have
but the device that's used.
yeah. I don't know what that's called. I do not know, but I know what you're
'Cause
talking
that's
about.
fast, right?
All right, if you guys know what it is,
it's
put it below in the
super fast.
comments.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. But yeah, it's that's super fast, but it's also not gonna be like I think as detailed as like a keyboard would, because I think like they're kind of like summarizing stuff a little bit with that.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Q or the
Yeah,
Z.
there's no Q.
Yeah.
So who really needs that?
we don't need that
Q in the upper left. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Like, like,
Just a middle
Bert, I
finger.
wanna
Might as well be
see-
a middle finger icon.
you know what I would like? I would like to see is I would like you to design a keyboard that maximizes the efficiency of the human fingers.
So the one that
in
they
mind.
used to have supposedly before this query one,
QWERTY.
QWERTY one was just in
Query.
alphabetical order because
Oh, god, that's awful.
that makes sense. No,
like on a
that
speak
makes
and spell,
sense.
like on a speak and spell thing. Remember those things?
Yeah.
Those keyboards were awful on there. That does not make sense very good.
No, that makes
What do-
total
what do they have
sense,
on
'cause
Blackberries?
The letters
I don't know,
go
I've
in
never
that
used a
order.
BlackBerry.
Oh boy.
I've never used a BlackBerry. What y'all like on my case over that?
So
No, I'm not. I've
okay,
never used
burn.
one either.
If it seems
Did you
like
watch
it's the other way
movie, though? It was
around.
super good.
What movie?
It's called Blackberry.
What's it about?
Blackberry,
Oh.
the company.
These
What was it? It
No,
was
no,
called
it-
like Research in Motion.
Is it on Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
That's the company who made Blackberries, and it's a very good movie.
It's my favorite
'cause
phone of all time.
It follows like the development of them. Like for a very, that's an interesting thing about when we were alive is like for this very small window of time, Research in Motion, the makers of BlackBerry, were the kings
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
phone market.
Favorite phone by far, BlackBerry Bold. Oh yeah, BlackBerry Bold.
The other
Sick.
one, though? Yeah.
Those were so nice.
And the movie goes
Way
into
better.
kind of like why they were allowed to gain that position. And basically, it's because they were the first company in the world to make that email capability from the phone. And the reason why they could do it and nobody else could is because they were better at data compression than anybody else was. And
So you could fit it all in a smaller package.
Yeah.
at some point, though, the whole paradigm shifted and data compression became worthless. Like, it became not worthless, but it became not vital. And instead of charging you for things like per text message or per minute you were on your phone, all of a sudden everything was unlimited. Well, that's because there was, and I don't know the details on this because that wasn't in the movie, but there was a paradigm shift where data compression was no longer important. Everybody got unlimited data. And that sort of started around the time of the iPhone. So I'm sure Apple had something to do with this paradigm shift. But for that unique period of time where the BlackBerry was the smallest email terminal in the world and everybody had them, they ruled the world. They were like cat's pajamas.
Yeah,
you
they were
know?
called the
They were
Crackberry.
sweet. They were sweet. I loved having those buttons when you text. Have a full keyboard. You knew exactly what you were pressing every time.
Yeah, these days I try to use my phone,
Yeah.
and it's always hitting the key to the left or right. It's like,
Yeah. I'm
Or-
still not as quick as I was with
yeah,
my BlackBerry.
yeah.
And then BBM, BlackBerry Messenger. All right, I'm not going to keep talking on that. I don't know what else we want to talk about. I think that's kind of
I think that we're a good place to wrap this up, and we can pick up a new episode next week.
get a new agenda in
a
place.
new agenda
With Burns
and,
help.
Maybe get a Dvorak keyboard in here and have Burn type on it.
Yes, we should.
See what he can get written.
That's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. We need to at least
I'll
we
give
need
my
to at
buddy
least
a
print
call.
one out. We need to at least print out a layout of it for him
yeah.
at minimal.
I think we just order one and just plop it down.
Well-
and you give send the quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog or whatever. That is.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you try typing on your QWERTY one and you see how he types it on his Dvorak one. and
Yeah. Well,
See who finishes first.
it's so hard to. Yeah, we'll have to try to come up with something.
So, but,
Cool.
I mean, we
Well,
don't have to do that. It's just,
yeah.
it'd be funny. You know,
Well, cool.
Are still like, yeah, this keyboard we got is awesome.
hey, I type on that keyboard all day,
So you're
and I'm
vested
super
in
efficient
this.
with it.
So you only care about yourself. You don't care about like future generations.
All right,
Future
guys.
generations want to run a Dvorak keyboard, they're more than welcome to.
Thanks for listening. This has been in the studio doing a session with Tom, Dave, Chris, and we're out.
KLXK would like to find out what Twin Cities children want for Christmas. We've set up the KLXK Classic Santa Wish Line for you to call 452-3287. 452-3287.